The main social structure is really the traditional mass media, since this is published in a newspaper. And I found that the article is pretty much from a hegemonic media mogul. The newspaper is owned by Roy Morgan and Seven West, so quite a lot of big powers controlling this newspaper. And it also details the junk food industry's domination over our food market. The context is from a developed country with a significant junk food market that consumers are being negatively influenced by. The main media effects theory used in this was agenda setting, because it's about obesity, it makes us think about obesity. There's definitely a logos argument with a lot of the facts and statistics, but it does have some elements of pathos and ethos. The facts and statistics are termed as knowledge. The strong persuasive language has a lot of power over us, and it ultimately persuades us to think about what sort of community initiatives mainly to help tackle obesity. There's this typical inverted pyramid structure for a news article. There's a cause and effect structure as well. It's got compare and contrast. The language is very factual and uses a lot of facts and statistics, which is really persuasive and really powerful. There's quite a lot of inclusive language. It's acknowledging us, and it has symbolic language, dollar sign symbol. And the numbers are put purely as numbers. And I also found that there's a fearful appeal to our health made in the article through the facts and statistics and the author's voice as well. That anecdote is used to create this contrast with the world that we are in now. The voice of the author is quite prominent. I find that it's a sincere reflection of how the world has rapidly changed thanks to technological developments that have led to globalization and the changed media landscape as we now see it. Through the change between first person and third person point of view, we're presented with his voice as well as these facts and statistics. The target audience of this is towards older Australians. The West Australian has a generally old audience, around 44 to 55 years age demographic, and is currently the most successful newspaper in Australia. And the anecdote fits into the assumptions of that audience because they themselves, along with read, witnesses the change of the world. So I found that the author's own experiences of his childhood and his experience with the Cancer Council and the changing world due to globalization is in line with his own experiences, and that's basically his subjective judgment. It's very, very powerful with the persuasive language, the facts and statistics alone. It presents very dire consequences due to the inaction of the public and councils as well against obesity. Proximity is well done since the information is about Australia and Australian facts and statistics are there, and there's some recent news about the city of Coburn. Human interest. I have written here that obesity has been a buzzword from time to time. The author's own anecdotal evidence does have some human interest impact to it, especially to the newspaper's demographic. Novelty, obesity is not new. Conflict, there was the city of Coburn issue. The language is very persuasive with a lot of facts and statistics, and it convinces the audience that obesity is a massive societal problem. If I had any questions, I wouldn't ask any. There's not very many rhetorical questions. There are lots of answers to a very multi-dimensional problem. Gender, it implies male addresses but acknowledges all of us. Age, older Australians. It mentions those of lower socioeconomic classes as using fast food, and this article was marketed towards the middle class, the Australian culture, particularly here in Western Australia. In terms of spatial organization, I don't think it was as effective as it should have been because I didn't really see the image. I kind of just saw the text, and the image should have been more centered. It's got a good use of rule of thirds for the central eye-catching part of the unidentified male's body, as well as the burger and fries. Some of the color combinations are a bit strange to the eye. It's supposed to induce a feeling of disgust. It's intended to intrigue the audience in its grotesqueness. And that is the end of my final presentation.